James, did you warn me that our floor was going to be iced today?
I left several notes about it in the fridge, under your pillow, in your pants, and stuck to your ceiling.
Ah, is that what those were for? Let us read one right here. Splatter of mustard. Andy, more globs of mustard. Ice, still more mustard. Tuesday, it ends there. What information was I meant to glean from that?
Oh, sorry about that. My mustard must be getting sloppy.
Is this language, James? Are you communicating through a means both parties can understand? Or are you using a baseless and contextless currency of letters that only you know the rules to and others have to guess at?
Well, we're out of mustard, so it's a dead language now.
No more condiment-based communication. All it does is rot the walls you try to write anything on and ruin my piano deliveries.
Then let's slide on over to our review of Tunic.
You forgot me. I can't get up. I'm very hurt. Ow.
Well, after years and years and years of waiting for Tunic to finally drop, it's here! After playing the same demo at every PAX event, online events, and noticing only minuscule changes in each iteration, it's here! After the blood sacrifices Andy performed on a weekly basis that he refuses to admit were to finally manifest a release date for Tunic, it's finally here!
Where is my animated series?
You take up the role of this Link-inspired fox character who bounces when he walks to climb things, walk along beaches, pray at statues that lead to alternate planes of existence, and most importantly, fight shit.
But were the incremental improvements in the same demo over several years, the sudden dinning stamina bar, and the mechanics that felt more like attempts to integrate parts of other games that were popular over the last 7 years, worth the wait? Is Tunic good?
Tunic opens the same way every demo did, with a panning shot of the overworld until it settles on our main character. This.
Immediately, we were put off by the presence of a stamina meter. Stamina meters are inhibitors that only serve to hinder the experience of gameplay. They will force you to pause your playthrough because you played it too fast and had too much fun all at once. Stamina meters at the very beginning of a game are always one of the biggest red flags. Just gonna place that one right there. Alright, continue.
Upon further inspection of the area, there is a mailbox, also a small cave with a stick in it. Equip your first weapon and engage with your first enemies, these whip slimes who will try and kill you with their tails. Further exploration reveals a locked door with a sign pointing to it, revealing it's a hero's grave. You gotta find the key.
You find the key nearby and unlock the door. Within the door, you find the first piece of one of the most important parts of this game, the strategy guide. Throughout the game, using your various skills, you'll acquire seemingly random pieces of what could be considered to be a strategy guide that will teach you where to go, how to fight, and things you didn't even know you could do had the strategy guide not told you. Like praying at these yellow squares. You just hold A to pray at these, as well as the hero's graves. They will take you to a fast travel dimension and a hero's grave dimension, respectively.
You've probably also taken notice of the language 70% of the game is written in. This is a language I will affectionately call breadsticks. This is how most items, including power-ups, will be presented to you, explained to you, and how most characters will speak to you. You will pick up one of every 10 words as you explore, meaning communication is almost completely useless. You may as well have brought a Yu-Gi-Oh deck to compete in a Pokemon TCG tournament.
This type of non-communication is hurtful to the player who needs to understand the world they're in, specifically if it is being conveyed by a strategy guide. A strategy guide the player has to put together. Why would anyone completely destroy the ability to understand the world the player is operating in? It makes almost everything in this game more frustrating than it needs to be. The story and characters can be easily misinterpreted. You can start the destruction of the universe, but you will never understand how or why because the grand majority of language is breadsticks.
We'll return to this. The story of Tunic is... I have absolutely no idea. The strategy guide will sometimes point you where you need to go, such as pointing you to the first 2 bell towers, then it'll tell you to collect 3 hexagon things. Beyond that, you die to an overpowered boss on purpose and go from there. The lack of explanation led me to just infer what the story was, and seeing as how the game had no intention of communicating it, I eventually stopped caring.
Gameplay is rather solid, however. You'll take on enemies of various strengths and looks with your stick, then your sword, and magic items you find. Perplexing, however, are the things that do and don't take up magic and your stamina bar. First, your magic bar.
Using the frog tongue orb thing to latch onto hooks.
Does not use your magic abilities.
Using the frog tongue orb thing to latch onto tuning forks.
Does not use your magic abilities.
Using any other magical items on things that aren't enemy or traversal specific.
Does use your magic, even if it was a mispressed button.
Using the frog tongue orb thing to latch onto enemies.
That, for some reason, does use magic. Why split the use of actual magic between traversal and combat? Why not just go one way or the other? There could have very easily been pickups that allow mana regeneration. In fact, there's these little constellation card things that allow pickups to appear, which you could understand if they weren't written in breadsticks. Adding those to the cavalcade of shiny Rombai that pop out of your enemies when you defeat them seems like an easy fix. Now your stamina bar.
Running.
Does not use stamina, for some reason.
Guarding.
Consumes stamina only when your shield is struck.
Dodging.
Does use stamina, which is perplexing because the dodge is only effective for half the animation, which means dodging is leaving you more open to attack than just running away. But there is no run button. You have to waste stamina by dodging, leaving yourself vulnerable in order to activate a run. It's so strange. The stamina bar seems only in place to hinder those that want to dodge attacks and protect themselves, because those are the only things that consume stamina.
Tunic has a metric fuck ton of strangeness about it that made it incredibly difficult for a player who is not enthralled by the world to continue playing, specifically when it only seems to be latching onto and regurgitating portions of other games that were popular during its dev cycle. It wasn't the first game to try and do these things, it won't be the last, but it is one of the most disappointing.
The revolting abuse of communication in Tunic is one of the biggest and clearest reasons to avoid it. There is no clear translation of breadsticks that isn't fan-made, and it plagues almost every single piece of language in the game, written or otherwise. We waited years to play a game that looked like a fresh take on isometric action-adventure games, but it ended up being nothing more than a steady stream of references, extremely poor communication, and not much else. Power-ups, items, equipables, menu screens, the ability to progress, intentions, and the story all stop in place because the player cannot understand what they're doing or why.
There isn't much we can offer in the way of suggestions for fixes beyond, let us read your fucking game's language so we can understand things. Or, why would you use a stamina bar for only 2 things in your game? And, why is only half the dodge a dodge? Without flat out saying, try again. We just hope some people enjoy this game for whatever it's worth. We did not, so to answer the question we posed at the beginning of the review, no, this was not worth the wait to us. There are 7 years of other games that did what Tunic did better and with more communication that we will flock to before we ever look this game in the eyes again. We hope you enjoyed our review of Tunic. Be sure to come up with well thought out responses to each of our points here and fill the comments with your bright messages.
Or do what we know you'll do and fill your responses with swears and questions about our taste and intelligence.
Or that. Be sure to follow us for more good stuff and have a good day.
Breadsticks.